Welcome to New Life Live, the premier place to receive free advice from Christian psychologists and counselors for the mental, emotional, relational, and spiritual challenges you face. Since 1988, we've offered compassionate responses that combine God's truth with proven psychological principles to guide you toward healing. Our phone lines are open. Call us now at 1-800-229-3000.
We are so grateful that you decided to join us today. It's going to be a great time of just insight and wisdom from my co-hosts. It's me, Becky Brown. I'm a licensed therapist, as well as Dr. Jacqui Mack-Harris, who's marriage and family therapist, and Laura Mangin-McDonald, also marriage and family therapist. But listen, these gals are just full of wisdom, and we are going to answer some incredible calls today. But Laura, I'm always curious about what's on your mind. What would you like to share with our listeners today?
Well, Becky, which one of my 500 lanes do you want me to choose from? I'm always on the, Autobahn and thinking, today really what I'm thinking of is that it's a phrase I think, love is free, but trust is earned. And I believe as Christians, we get so tangled. Well, let me speak for myself. I get tangled up in this because the very grace I want to give gets tangled up with the truth that needs to be kind of, rolled out. So love is free, trust is earned. And if someone is harming our personal property, that's our heart, then it's our responsibility to escort that person off our personal property. And we get really confused there because, the person will say, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. But if we allow the person to continue to harm us, and this is hard to hear, but we are being irresponsible. It says that in Proverbs that a prudent person sees danger and turns around. But a simpleton sees dangers, continues on, and pays the penalty. So we could talk about this all day, but here's three things to kind of measure if a person is truly repentant and wanting, change, and if we can allow them back on our personal property, be back in relationship with them, right? That first one is godly sorrow. Godly sorrow is more than, I'm sorry. That doesn't cut it. The godly sorrow is other focused. It's empathetic. It feels the sadness of the other person. And we see that in Jeremiah 6:14. We see it acted out in Jeremiah 6:14, but 2 Corinthians 7:10, godly sorrow. The second thing is the person takes ownership and says, they name the behavior. This is what I did to you. And also what they do in that ownership is they understand what's driving their behavior. They understand how they got there. It's not just, I'm sorry I did it. I won't do it again. I'm going to work on it. Because if we don't know how we got there, we'll for sure be there again. And then the third thing is true reconciliation. And forgiveness is often confused with reconciliation. I will release them of the debt they owe me, right? But reconciliation takes two people to be involved in that. And that person is actively involved in the godly sorrow, the ownership, and that whether they have to go to therapy, get into recovery, working 12-step, whatever, they're doing something for changed behavior.
I love that. If is this in your Heart Handbook book?
Oh, it is.
Okay. Well, we have Laura's book. It's called Heart Handbook, and she goes into depth on these things. There it is. There's a picture of it, and you can get it at newlife.com, or you can call us. We're grateful for your insight. I'm grateful for that lane that you merged into, because we learned something this morning.
Thank you very much.
I think always that our heart is deceitful, right? The Bible tells us that, and we need to learn the ways to heal it, to find the truth, and to grow in the love that God has given us. We're going to be right back after this break.
Restore gave me strength. It gave me more belief in my faith. I met up with a group of women that are going through things that they had no control over.
If you've been affected by betrayal, an emotional or a physical affair, or pornography, the Restore Intensive will equip you with support and tools to help you through.
When two people want to do their part, we can be restored. But if they don't, we can still be restored. We are not stuck because someone else made a decision. That God lets us weigh in on how we want to walk out our lives. Our wellness does not hinge on another person's decision.
The Restore Intensive is coming to Washington, D.C. November 1st through the 3rd. Register online at newlife.com or call 1-800-NEW-LIFE and use the discount code NLL to save $50.
I had a great experience at Restore.
1-800-NEW-LIFE and the discount code NLL. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back. We are so excited to be here with you to share some wisdom and insight. And we're going to go right to the calls. We're going to talk with Elsie, who's calling us from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, listens on WFIL. Hello, Elsie, and thanks for waiting.
Hi.
How can we help you today?
Hi. I'm just trying to get some information on how to navigate. I have a son that's 35 years old. He's been involved with drugs for many years since he was a teenager. And as a result of that, there was some mental illness. And about a year and a half ago, he went into a mental facility. And they got him on the right medication. From there, he went into a detox center and got off of methadone into a Christian rehab. And it was so quick and overwhelming to him in the Christian rehab that he left, and he said he just couldn't take it. He came back here to our home to live, and he was on the medication, and it was going okay, but then he started using drugs here and there, and so fast forward to this past winter, it got very out of hand, and he got involved with using meth. So then I kicked him out, and he went into a detox center in July, beginning of July, and they got him weaned off of that. They put him, and plus he was using methadone on and off. So they got him weaned off all that, put him on a Suboxone, which they usually do for a day or two. And then he was going to go for long-term health care. And but he stayed on Suboxone, which I wish he didn't, because as the last caller said, easy to get on, hard to get off. Heroin wasn't his addiction, and that's what Suboxone is a blocker for. Went to a Patterson, New Jersey rehab where it's just state-funded and anything goes. He did get on Strateer for attention deficit. They put him on that in the detox center, which is fine. It's non-narcotic. So he's on Strateer, he's on Abilify for mental illness, and on Suboxone. So now I'm going to come back home. My mind is set good. I can work for Dad now. I promise. So he's home now for 4 days, and I just see he's already calling a doctor to get on Adderall, And Adderall to me is a methamphetamine.
So, Elsie,
Yeah.
what is the best way that we can help you in this really difficult situation?
Well, my fear is this all good to go on? I know it's not good to go on Adderall at all. And along with, I said, look, you need to talk to your psychiatrist that put you on this Abilify. Chemically speaking, these are all chemicals going through your head. And,
let's see, Jacqui, let's start with you. You have medical background. We talk about these kind of things, but what, you can hear Elsie's concern.
Yes.
And, so how can we help her?
And it sounds, Elsie, like it's a pretty serious concern. I think the question is his desire to go on the Adderall the right thing? And I hear the concern. I hear that, but I'm wondering, is that the question you're calling in to ask? Like, how do you help him?
Basically,
okay.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
the what's coming up for me is that he has had a drug addiction for a great deal of his life. Was his ADHD diagnosed when he was in high school or
in grade school?
In grade school.
In grade school.
And did
he
he
was on medication briefly, and then not since. But
so he was on the medication briefly. When he was on the medication briefly, did you see improvement?
It just seemed like he got very quiet.
Okay. So you noticed that he got very quiet, and so that probably means that internally he got very quiet, and he may have been chasing that experience for the rest of his life. So I have ADHD. And so it takes a lot to regulate it. And I wasn't on medication as a child. I was diagnosed as an adult. And my child was diagnosed in junior high school. She took medication for about a year, a little less, because it didn't work for her heart. So we had to take her off of it. But I do know that during that time she was on it, she did better in just about every context. She did better at school. She did better listening and being in choir. She did better sitting through Sunday school and Bible studies. She just did better with the things that neurotypicals wanted from her, for her to be able to sit, focus, and prioritize. So she was able to learn how to do some of the things we would ask, like calm down, focus. She didn't have a frame of reference for that. And sometimes young people are in such struggle and they can't put it into words, or they do put it into words, and we as grown-ups tell them to suck it up, basically, or that they're fine, or to try harder, and so they self-medicate. And it sounds very much like your son self-medicates. He is trying to regulate an actual brain problem. And so I agree with you about him needing to go see his psychiatrist. Sometimes the combination of medications aren't correct. And so they have to try something else and try something else. Strattera is a great ADHD medication, but some people need a stimulant ADHD medication. Others need a non-stimulant. My family, we need a non-stimulant. That's why my daughter couldn't take Concerta and Vyvanse and all of the stimulant ones. It was affecting her heart. It was giving her cardiac episodes and she was passing out. And so the doctors have to sometimes play around with the medications because our chemistries, our physical chemistries are different. And so the Strattera may not be solving his problem, or maybe there's some clash with the Abilify and the Strattera. So I would continue to encourage him to speak with his psychiatrist about getting on the right combination of medications for his particular brain, because if he's still trying other things, he's still feeling out of control and chaotic. And then once on the right medication, he also needs to be with a therapist that understands neurodivergence, that can help him navigate it, learn some new skills, and so he's not having to medicate himself in order to tolerate being in his own body.
That's good. You know, Elsie, I also think that you're going to need your own support system as well, because this is a lot. What you've been through is a lot. Laura, what would you add to this conversation?
Well, I'm wondering, I mean, Jacqui covered that great. I'm wondering if, Elsie, if somehow in your mind you're thinking another medication would somehow sabotage him to relapse. That's what I'm wondering if it's under that. But I will.
Yeah, well, it's my concern. But it's part of my concern. I just think that's
what I'm hearing.
He was buying it off the. He was buying it before he went away, just to give him a jump.
Yeah. You know? Addictions work. Addictions give us relief. So they work for a while. And when I'm desperate and in pain, I'm going to look for relief, right? But what I was going to add to that, I'm also in the ADD club, you know, and I say thank you, Jesus, for Adderall, right? Adderall is a friend to me when used as it's supposed to be. But also one of my biggest concerns is what Becky said is you need a support system for you. You're exhausted, and rightly so. He needs he needs a therapist, and he needs a recovery, because all of us need recovery. And it's in that recovery where he's going to be validated and understood. And then he needs a therapist and a doctor to manage the meds, and then all of this at the same time, you are getting the help, and your husband getting the help you need, because like I said, y'all are exhausted.
Yeah.
And rightly so.
35 years of parenting your ADHD child.
Back in. Yeah. Because he came back. He's not contacting his therapist about this. You know, he's contacting an attention deficit doctor in another town nearby us.
Right.
Or I think it should be the doctor, because they all
He's using his drug.
This is where you need guidance.
Yeah. He's using his drug seeking behavior, and he's trying to use that same street behavior in the medical community. And in that way he can say, well, I'm not using, but he is. Right. He needs a new program.
Do you know, Elsie, I'm gonna. We have a life recovery conference that's coming up, and I'm gonna gift both you and your son the registrations that you both can attend, because some of the things that you're dealing with are also, you know, we talk to people all the time that are in relationship with people who struggle with addiction, but you're also dealing with a lifelong, as a parent, trying to manage somebody who, you know, just hasn't, you know, he doesn't have what you expected. And I think that's, you know, Jacqui, I love that you said that, what'd you say, that
you've been
you were talking about neurodivergence.
Oh, yeah, those neurotypicals.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Neurotypicals.
Yeah.
It's my favorite saying now. Yeah. But you're right. It's when you're neurotypical, when when your brain works in a typical way, those that do not work in a typical way, the brains that don't work and the bodies that, and, you know, encase those brains, it can be challenging, and it can be very, very difficult in parenting, in relationships, whether it's marriage or sibling behavior, you know, and it is a lifelong thing. I love also that you both pointed out that he's doing whatever it takes to get the feeling again. And that is, addiction works. That's the reason why it is so powerful.
Yeah.
Well, you know, we're always talking to people about recovery, because we do believe everyone needs a path of recovery. Whether you're dealing with addiction yourself, or maybe it is you're addicted to control, because, you know, that's a pretty powerful drug, to find that peace and that insight into, you know, what life looks like beyond the panic and the disorder and just the chaos that comes with seeking out that peace. Jacqui, what's something that you would suggest for, you know, whether you're experiencing that drive, that crave for the peace, or maybe you're in a relationship? What is one step in the right direction that somebody could take?
I believe the step is to make a call. Whether that is to call your therapist to get in another session this week, or call the trusted other that you can just either be present with, someone that you can be honest with, that you can trust to be honest with you. And you did. You made a call today. And hopefully you hear some encouragement. He's fighting to be okay. The desire is to be okay. And the ADHD brain, when you figure out your superpower, it's amazing. And I agree with Laura. I thank God for Strattera. But I wish, honestly, I wish I had found it sooner. And I've been teaching psychopharmacology for a good 5-6 years, and it just wasn't something I chose until the pandemic. And I felt that sense of overwhelm, and I can't carry everybody's stuff in mine anymore. And man, did it make a huge difference. And so if you're not experiencing what it's like to have the ADHD brain, it's hard to understand. There's lots of people out there these days doing great TED Talks and YouTube videos about the ADHD brain and being a person with ADHD, so that we can use the superpower that I think that it really is. But we're also living life with people who don't experience the same thing. And it's hard if your parents don't have ADHD, or one of them doesn't have it. It's hard being that parent and trying to navigate the world through your brain when your child's brain works so differently, and you can't see that. You just see stubbornness. You just see repeated behavior, having to repeat myself over and over again. I agree with both Becky and Laura. at least you have to have your own group, your own therapist, your own people for you to call, for you to rely on, for you to be supported by.
Yeah, the power of the group. Go ahead, Laura.
Right. And I just want to add to that exactly, Jacqui, that there's a negative stigma attached to meds, right? But I want to ask the person who's getting ready to go into surgery if they're opposed to anesthesia.
Exactly.
There you go.
Their surgery, right?
Yes.
Or that, thank you, Jesus, I have glasses, or I wouldn't be able to see anybody here, right? Let's take the help we can get and then manage what we're getting in a way where we can stay in recovery and be successful.
Yes.
I love that. I love that. Well, we are so grateful that you called, Elsie, and we're going to be back after this break. If you need some help, you can call us, 1-800-229-3000 to be on the show, or you can call 1-800-NEW-LIFE to get help in your area. We are here for you, and we'll be right back answering some questions.
When you give to the New Life Scholarship Fund, you're giving someone hope for a brighter future.
I was kind of in the closet and hit with my struggle. Your donation really made the difference, especially in my situation, because I would up getting laid off from my job.
At the New Life Intensives, hurting people are able to begin a new path towards healing and freedom that has an effect on all of those around them.
I think the people who support New Life financially are people that I'll never know. I'll never be able to thank them personally for the gift that they gave to us. Their giving saved me, my husband, and our family from being torn apart.
To help hurting people to connect to the help they need, make your gift to the Scholarship Fund at newlife.com or by calling 1-800-NEW-LIFE and specifying scholarships.
Someone called and sponsored me to come this weekend. Whoever that is, just know that you saved a life. Literally, you saved my life.
1-800-NEW-LIFE. Club New Life changes lives.
You guys came along into my life in 2022. That was a really, really difficult year of my life.
You can help New Life Ministries provide Christ-centered hope and counseling resources to thousands of people by joining Club New Life today.
I began to really process a lot of things that I've needed to for a long time, and y'all were a very big part of that.
When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, you'll make a difference in the lives of individuals and families with godly counsel and connection to help.
I came out of it having never experienced anything like that, and y'all were there.
Join today and help continue the message of hope to a troubled world.
I knew I had to keep going, and I joined Club New Life, and y'all have been the resource that has now been a light for my wife and I.
Go to newlife.com/CNL, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places.
Keep doing what you do because it makes a difference.
newlife.com/CNL. We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back. We are so grateful to be here with you and for you. And one of the things that I want to talk about before we get back to answering some questions is, Laura, you're one of our speakers at our Restore Intensive. And Restore is for women who've experienced betrayal and just the healing journey that they all need to experience. And, there's a quote from Stacy Smith, who's our speaker there. And she says, betrayal is trauma. And when your brain is in trauma, you can't think clearly. And, when you think about Restore, we are helping women process through this trauma for a clear future, regardless of the resolution of that relationship or maybe the departure. Yeah. But what would you say to a woman who's experienced that betrayal trauma about her need for that journey of healing?
Well, I'd say several things. What comes to my mind first is betrayal trauma is real. It breaks down the molecular structure of our cells. Our body takes the hit. Inflammation, the confused inability to think. We're on trauma alert, But most women have a problem in making the time they take care of themselves. And I often use the analogy of, if I am driving down George Bush Turnpike here and I am T-boned and wrecked on the turnpike, right? I am not going to stop the paramedics in the middle of trying to triage me and say, wait a minute, I have got children. I need to get to a soccer practice. I have got to get to work. A deadline is due. I have, got to do, and that's often what women do, is they dismiss their trauma because of things that they're responsible to, but as if that is an excuse for not getting healed, because people would think I'm crazy if I stop the paramedics in trying to triage my trauma, right? So that's the woman that you've got to get help. And if you want to make the best gift you could give to your children is getting help, because it's going to help the woman guide their children too. We cover A to Z in that intensive. It's incredible to watch lives turned around. We don't know what we don't know.
That's right. And, and even in betrayal trauma, it shuts down that process of being able to think clearly. Like Stacey said, if you are a woman who's experienced betrayal trauma, or even if you're just curious if that fits you, because a lot of times we don't even identify the betrayal trauma, but go to newlife.com/restore and you'll get the information that you need there to make a wise decision. I would just encourage you to join us there in DC in November. It'll make a difference in your life.
Yeah.
A lot of times when we are recording shows, you cannot call us for many reasons, everything from you're at work, or maybe you just can't get to the phone. But we have made a way for you to submit questions. And if you go to newlife.com/radio, we'll give you instructions there. And I want to present one of those questions today. Our caller is Susan, and her question is, how can my daughter honor her father when he continues to be hurtful? A little bit further into her question, she says, my daughter struggles with the commandment to honor your mother and father. We hear that a lot, don't we? She says her father suffers from alcoholism and has bipolar disorder, and as a result, he's mentally abusive. She thinks she should allow him to be able to contact her and has taken her kids to see him on his birthday, but he continues to be hurtful. Any suggestions that I can give her are going to be helpful. How can we help Susan? Jacqui, how would you start?
Well, I like what Laura just said about taking moms being able to take care of themselves, right? And I think it's important for us to be able to set boundaries of what's okay and what's not okay, and to keep safety. And so honoring mother and father, I don't believe requires a child to stand in abuse and continue to tolerate it, because scripture also says, Father, not to cause your children to wrath, right? Not to frustrate your child into cutting you off, which is what's happened here, right? And it says not to do this so that they would not become discouraged. And that's exactly what's happened here. And so I would, if I found myself in that situation, and unfortunately I did at one point, I refused to let my children experience what I experienced growing up. And so we had a conversation about that behavior, and there was a boundary set. And if you continue to behave in this way, that is you telling me that you're not ready for this relationship with us. And I would keep my children from that harm. I would not subject my children to that harm because he fathered me. That does not give him carte blanche to create trauma for these children, to continue to traumatize his daughter. I absolutely would say, no, thank you. No, sir. You have some things you need to do and some recovery you need to do. And then we have to work on rebuilding that trust before I would subject my children. And that would have to begin with me. So I could see the daughter working something out where she gave him a chance, but I would not be bringing my children around until he approved to me that he was not going to mentally harm them.
Yeah, it's interesting because you said it, Jacqui, carte blanche. We will take that commandment, and then we just throw out our rationalization of safety, and then as therapists, then we hear the stories years later. My mom or my dad, took me over to be experiencing abuse. And it's really hard. Yeah. We're going to hear from Laura after this break. We're always just grateful to have the opportunity to answer some questions that, maybe you just haven't found the place to ask. or, haven't found the courage to ask. But we're grateful to be able to help. We'll be right back after this.
I'm addicted to oxycodone. I've been on oxycodone almost 3 years.
Addiction affects millions of people every year.
I've been on it for a long time, and I need to get off.
New Life can connect you with some of the finest Christian inpatient treatment programs in the country that work with people from all backgrounds and beliefs.
First, it was for back pain, and I was on it for a long time. And then I currently just had shoulder surgery.
If you or a loved one is struggling with addiction to illegal or prescription drugs, alcohol, or dealing with an eating disorder, it's time to seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have partner treatment centers all around the country.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 or visit us online at newlife.com. 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
I was sort of vaguely familiar that the 12 steps had some origination in the Bible. I found Life Recovery, and one of the things I liked so much was that it had such a broad appeal. It wasn't limited to just alcohol or drugs, that it was addressing a wide range of problems.
At New Life, we believe everyone can benefit from a life recovery experience. There are life recovery groups all over the country. They take place online, in conference calls, and in person. And if there isn't one in your area, we can help you start one. We have startup materials, leaders' guides, CDs, Bibles, and more, all with discounts available for groups. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE and ask for Terry Ward. The 12 Steps have long been a great help to people in recovery because much of the 12 Steps' power comes from the fact that they capture principles clearly revealed in the Bible.
The 12 steps is really a pattern for all of us as Christians.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back. We are taking your calls at 1-800-229-3000, and today we've got Laura Mangin-McDonald and Dr. Jacqui Mack-Harris, and we were talking about Susan's write-in question about honor your father and mother. And Laura, I know that you have 2 cents to add into that, so let's hear from you.
Oh, I do. And, honoring is the word that we have to extrapolate here, because honoring means that we are in agreeing with what God calls honoring. And God does not honor abusive behavior. And oftentimes we get tangled up in that. It makes me think of in Proverbs 19:19, it says, "Do not enable a hot-headed man, or you will do it again and again." Or in Proverbs about, I believe I mentioned earlier, about the prudent see danger and turn. The simpleton sees danger and continues on and faces the consequence. So even though I understand and feel this daughter's heart in wanting this connection, she will counterfeit what healthy relationship looks like, and she will be modeling that for her children, to say that we tolerate someone being abusive to us. There's zero tolerance for that, and we are to take cover and not enable them in that. It's where we become that silent accomplice. And so that I just hope that daughter will get some support from a strong female therapist who's godly and Christian, who can walk her through this.
I love that. And Susan, if you need help, you can call us to get a counselor for her, or however that connection needs to be made. We've been helping people for over 36 years in many different ways. And we're so grateful for those of you who support the ministry financially, because it makes it possible for people to hear how there is a way forward. There is hope and there is help for those difficult places in life. Right now, we're going to go to a flashback call that Steve and John did many years ago, but I think it's still going to have truth for you. Terry?
All right, let's go to Mandy from Austin, Texas. Hello, Mandy.
Hi, thank you for taking my call.
Certainly. How can we help you today?
Well, I'm 30 years old, and I'm married to my high school sweetheart.
Yeah.
We have an infant daughter.
Okay.
And I'm calling because this isn't quite as unique as some of your other calls, but I've never heard this.
Now, Mandy, I was worried about when I said that you might feel that. I didn't at all mean, well, this isn't interesting.
I know, pressure, but
no pressure. No pressure.
Anyway, you'll see.
Okay. All right.
Well, anyway, I love my husband. He's a wonderful man. He's my best friend, and in many ways we have a great relationship. And I want to be with him, but I've never been in love with him. And so before getting pregnant, we waited quite a long time. I told him about my, the anxiety and doubt about our relationship that I've felt since the beginning. And it broke his heart, but he said that all that mattered to him was do I want to be with him? And I answered truthfully that yes, I did. So anyway, I got some counseling and I got pregnant. But now I'm wondering, I never actually told him that I'm not in love with him, and I'm feeling some guilt about that, I want to do the loving thing.
So what broke his heart? If you didn't tell him you weren't in love with him, what is it that broke? What is it that you said that did break his heart?
Well, I told him that since the beginning I've had a lot of anxiety about our relationship and doubt.
Okay, anxiety and doubt. Okay, but you haven't yet said those words. I'm not in love with you.
Exactly.
All righty.
Well, I'm just wondering whether you want to settle for that or you want to heal, move toward him, and have the romantic, loving relationship you thought you could have when you were younger.
Settle? You mean settle for keeping this a secret and...
Well, yeah,
which means it'll block my ability to ever be in love with him?
Well, I'm just saying I think you ought to fall in love with the guy.
I want that more than anything.
Okay, so what have you done to do that?
Well, I've tried. I've tried looking into myself and seeing why. Like when I had a little problem with anger when I was younger, and I tried to get over that because I could see it was hurting him. I've tried to.
Is he a little kind of the nice guy, a little on the passive side sometimes?
He's a nice guy. I wouldn't call him passive, no.
Is he?
But he's very assertive with what he wants. And when we first met, I thought he was going to be my best friend, but he wanted more, and so I kind of caved in. But then I started.
I want to get more into your heart and gut here now. Okay, what turns you off about him? And you can't say, well, I'm just not in love. Then you're being like a baby. So, what turns Mandy off? What do you wish he had that he doesn't? Go into attributes in your gut.
I guess I wish he was a little better looking.
Okay.
And which is superficial.
No self-judgment here. Just what do you wish?
Okay. And sometimes I think he's a little. I guess he's a little harsh with other people. I wish he were a little more laid back about less judgmental of others.
That turns you off.
Yeah.
Okay. What else?
I guess sometimes I feel like he kind of takes the lead in the relationship. We do what he wants to do.
Okay.
And sometimes I feel like he because I've kind of been in the passenger seat for so long. It's like, okay, whatever you want to do, we'll go along with it.
Well, Mandy, you have given us the formula for success.
Congratulations.
Okay.
Because I think it's crazy when people say, I don't love my husband. Well, okay, go on date night and have a romantic weekend. I just think, well, it's like saying somebody with diabetes needs a hug. Romantic love. What?
Oh, sorry, that's my baby. I'm sorry.
Baby. Hi, baby. How are you? Romantic love comes when people are open and vulnerable and address the things that they don't get along with and heal those things. So you go to him and say, I am not as attracted to you as I like to be. And don't go over the you don't look good thing unless he's a slob. I mean, you can get deeper than that. And say to him, I want to feel more passion and stuff, and I don't, and I want to tell you that. But here's the thing is, what I think will help me is if you listen more, are not harsh with me, don't judge me, let me drive the car sometimes.
It is always something. And I love how John and Steve just, they got real practical with Mandy, where she was just, I just don't love him. I just don't love him. And what does that mean? It's one of the things that we uncover at our Intimacy and Marriage Intensive, which, Laura, you're also one of our speakers there. And, when we think about why are we connected to our spouses, these kind of feelings start to come up, the disappointments that we've had, and we detach. What would be a practical step when you heard Mandy's call? What would be a practical step that she might consider in reconnecting with her spouse?
Well, I immediately, exactly what John and Steve talked about is like being able to, a safe space for her to say this to him. I imagine she's always been pretty passive, and she's just kind of waiting for her husband to one day just spring out in a different behavior, maybe, right? Yeah. But where she's really getting wrapped around the axle and the enemy is having his way with her, is continuing to whisper, see, things are never going to change. See, look at this. He always thinks of himself, right? And so there's this dialogue where the enemy's whispering to her, but for her to rise up and take responsibility. And I imagine, though, that she would have to get into some coaching or 12-step or therapy or something to learn that. But the success, the outcome is absolutely guaranteed. We can make that guarantee. She can fall in love with this guy and have a great relationship.
Yeah, that's right. It's like what John said about, we're not talking about, just go on a date night and hope that things are better.
Oh my gosh. I hate that when people say that. It's like, if that were the case, well, then we'd have so many great marriages.
That's right. That's right. Jacqui, what would you add?
Well, and the date night isn't the typical day. It's not the typical night. It's not the life. It's living with this man that is the challenge. And I agree. I think she has to do some work on changing her thinking. The reticular activating system is proving her right. I don't love him. I don't love him. He's not the one. And that has been going on since they started dating. She's never really wanted this relationship. She needs a therapist. She needs to be meeting with someone to figure out why she allowed herself to move into a relationship she didn't want. What was the intimidation? There's a lot of stuff behind it for me.
Yeah, and isn't that something that we don't know what we don't know? Mm-hmm. And that reticular activating system just keeps that laundry going in the spin cycle for as long as we are breathing, right?
Yep.
And it causes all kinds of destruction. Sometimes when that washer gets off balance, it makes a lot of noise, and we just ignore it. It starts moving across our lives. I know it's a terrible metaphor, but
so it doesn't
that's
it.
Noise, right? That's it.
We lay our body across it.
Yep.
That's it. Well, we'll be right back after this.
We all face days where life throws us a curveball and our routines or plans get disrupted. Things we wanted to do are forced to take a backseat to the unexpected demands of the day. If you normally listen to New Life Live on a radio station, well, you might not be able to that day. And on these hectic days when you're feeling stressed or frazzled, hearing the sound of counsel given on New Life Live is just what you need to navigate the unexpected things of life.
Every time I'm troubled or I have a problem, I'll cut on New Life, and there's always something that is said that is helpful to me.
By listening, I have learned more than I can ever express about how God wants me to live.
Download the New Life app for the easiest way to listen wherever you are and at a time that's convenient for you, or watch the show on our YouTube channel. You can even subscribe to our podcast from your favorite podcast provider. You never have to miss a day of New Life. Wherever you are, we are.
Hi, this is Stephen Arterburn from New Life Ministries. We know that Christian counseling changes lives. We hear evidence of that every day.
My relationships with my husband, with my friends, with my family are much richer and deeper and honest. Particularly my relationship with God, I see Him in a more accurate form and begin to trust Him more. There's joy and there's peace because I have the internal tools that I can trust. So it's radically changed my life. I'm just not even the same person.
Our nationwide network of licensed Christian counselors means there is help available near you.
Take the leap, jump in, and go for it. It's changed my life completely.
You don't have to be stuck where you are, but you can't really expect to change unless you take action. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. It could be the start of a whole new life for you. Christian counseling works, and we can help. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE today. Someone who cares is always there at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back. You know, I just can't say enough. Jacqui and I were talking at the break about how we can get stuck in a narrative and it can take our whole life away. Literally just, ruminating over and over again about what we believe to be true without checking ourselves before we wreck ourselves. Okay. So we have a whole library of video teachings that is available to you because we don't want you to ever stop growing. And you can go to newlife.com and click on listen, the tab that's at the top of the page there. And you can see, over 600. Jacqui's done some of those. Laura's done some. I've done some. Steve, all of our co-hosts. And we're grateful to be able to offer just insight because I want you to, just continue to grow in your life. It really makes a difference on so many levels. Everything from your family to your community to your workplace. Just we need to continue to keep seeking the Lord and seeking godly counsel in all parts of our lives. Now, we've got one more call coming in. And I think I'm going to be able to get that. It's Phoebe's calling us from Phoenix, Arizona. She listens on the app, and you can listen on the app too. You can download it wherever you get your apps. Phoebe, we're so glad that you called. How can we help you today?
Hi, my question today is, and before I get into that, I do want to thank you. I've been a long-time listener and benefited so much from your program and books that I've gotten and read that have been recommended. So thank you all for so much of what you do. There's no way possible for you to know the extent of how many people you've helped. And I appreciate you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Phoebe. Well, how can we help you today?
So my question today is, would there be a benefit for my husband to grieve the loss of the childhood he thinks our kids should have had? And so a little bit of background information. My husband and I have currently been married for a little over 3 years. And he was a widower. The biological mom passed away from brain cancer when the children were young. So the mom has been gone almost 10 years now. And in our dynamics at home, I've been working to build relationship with the girls before we got married, of course. And so I definitely take my cues from them, how much they want to be involved or how little they may want to be involved with certain things. My husband tends to push more of the activities that he would like to see them do with me. I've mentioned to him that they may not want to do those things. So, and it's okay if they don't want to do them, especially since they're teenagers. The youngest is 16 and the middle one, the girls are more the ones that are, the ones that he promotes this building relationship with more. We have a third one, my son. Things are going well in our relationship. But he wants them to cook with me. He wants us to just do all these things together. And I don't authentically get a signal from them all the time that they want to do that. And I'm okay with them not doing that. I can, cook perfectly well without that assistance from them if they don't want to be there. And of course, the problem comes in, especially with a teenager. If she doesn't want to do it, then she's either throwing things around or stomping and going upstairs or putting some asparagus in and saying, oh, that's right, they were in there, but I got involved in something else. So rather than to have those dynamics going on, I'd rather just not have her come alongside me if that's not what she wants to do.
Well, Phoebe, we've only got a few minutes, but I want to get some answers to your question. Laura, let's start with you. What would be a next step for Phoebe and her husband?
Well, Phoebe, you nailed it. He does need to grieve. He is trying to put back together something he lost his children lost in the relationship with their mother. And even though his intentions are sincere, he's sincerely wrong in this. So, and if you were to force something, I always say we can't microwave intimacy, right? You will actually build a barrier instead of making an emotional connection. So, yes, I would recommend that he work with a grief counselor on this, and then I would really validate where the teenagers are coming from, going, look, I'm not going to try to force anything. I honor you had a mother, and I honor your relationship with your mother. I'm coming along as help, and when you're ready and feel safe, I will move forward. I don't want to force anything on you. And I think just calling out that big pink elephant will bring so much reality and connection to this relationship.
I agree. Jacqui, I want to hear from you. And Phoebe, I want to encourage you to go to Intimacy and Marriage, because this isn't just this part of it, but this is your marriage that you're talking about. You're early into this relationship. Jacqui, we just have a few minutes, but I want to hear from you.
I agree with everything you and Laura have said. I think he is trying to fix his grief by making his ideal happen. He's thinking about all the things that they missed out on and lost, and we don't even know if their mom would have been into cooking with them. Right. So he has in his imagination what perfect would have looked like had she lived. And those kids have a different experience with her for the time that they did have her, not the experience he had. So he's probably really getting it wrong, and they are probably feeling missed. And that might be some of the pushback that you get. I've worked with a child who lost her mom she was 12, but mom's brain cancer came at 6. And she had a lot of feelings about how all the adults around her treated her because they thought that she was depressed and sad about her mom's passing, but she saw her mom suffer. And so she wasn't really feeling what they were feeling. And their assumptions were hurting her and pulling her further away, because she didn't feel like she could actually say, like, I'm relieved. She was suffering and it was hard and scary to be, 6, 7, 8, 10 and watch your mom deteriorate and change in that way. And so I think he's missing an opportunity to grieve with his children and to hear what their experience has been. And hopefully if he got into a good grief group and got into some recovery, he could get some counsel on that and learn some different ways for him to form relationship with them. And you're going to form your relationship with them organically and naturally. It's not that you don't want that, but he has to allow that relationship to develop organically. We can't make whatever he imagined would happen with his wife, his first wife. We can't make that world exist. It just doesn't. And nothing he's doing can change that. And so he really, the question, will he benefit? He will absolutely benefit from doing some grief work.
Yeah. And Phoebe, I can't say enough about how much you and your husband will benefit from going to Intimacy and Marriage, because this is a new relationship, even though you guys have been together for a while, but the grief gets in the way, the new kind of way to, the fact that he hasn't been able to hear you in this process, there's just lots of different things, but it doesn't mean that it isn't repairable. And to understand and have that deeper understanding, I'm going to send you a copy of How We Love. And also we'll give you some information about Intimacy and Marriage. And then the grief, we've got grief groups that we can connect you with as well. Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Jacqui. And thank you, listeners.
Thank you.
I think we learned a lot today, and we want to continue to learn and grow. We're grateful to be here. If you're a man struggling with sexual integrity issues, Every Man's Battle starts tomorrow. Give us a call. We'll get you connected. It could be the best weekend of your life. We'll be right back.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.
Thanks for watching today. We love helping people. I hope you sense that. And we know that there's always hope if you find the right resource. Now, if something we've said to somebody else applies to you, that's fantastic. That's what we're hoping for. But also, if you want to join us directly, you can call 1-800-229-3000 between 1 and 3 Eastern Time, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Those are the best times to get through. And while you're here on YouTube, check out these other videos that we've done to help people see where they could grow or a different path to take. And if you do that, would you give us a thumbs up on the video, and please subscribe to this channel. There are many ways that we can help you outside of the radio program, and it's very hard for some to pick up a phone and dial 1-800-NEW-LIFE. But when you do, we put you in touch with somebody who cares about you, knows all the resources out there, and they're going to find the best for you. There is no reason to struggle alone. I hope to see you tomorrow. Hope you'll invite somebody else to come and join that maybe needs just a little bit of help along the way. I'll see you next time.